What do I wish I'd understood sooner about neurodivergent children? Quite a lot, actually. And I want to be really clear before we get into this. I'm not saying I was, like anyone who knows my story, I'm not saying that I was a terrible teacher for 13 years, because I wasn't. I actually cared really deeply about the kids that I worked with. I worked hard, I built relationships, I tried new things, I experimented with my teaching, I advocated for those kids, and I did plenty that I'm still proud of. But I can be proud of the teacher I was and still admit that I know more now than I knew then about neurodiversity. Both things can be true, but since moving out of the classroom and into neurodiversity training and education, I've had the chance to listen to far more parents, carers, teachers, professionals in the SEND space, and of course kids. Did I say that? And then there are things that I understand now that would have changed the way that I dealt with things. And it's not that I didn't care at the time, I just didn't have all the information, and sometimes no time to gather all of the information. So if you're a parent watching this, particularly if you've ever been told they're fine at school, then I want to talk about what I wish I'd understood sooner and what I would do differently now. Now, the first thing is that a child looking fine is not the same as a child actually being fine. We are often trained to notice what visibly disrupts a classroom, okay? So it's getting out of the chair, fidgeting, shouting, leaving the room, refusing to do the work. We notice that because the difficulty is visible. But the child who's quiet, compliant, and getting through the day can be struggling just as much. They might be copying everyone else. They might be rehearsing what to say, holding their body still when they desperately need to move, swallowing the feeling and saving that collapse until they get home. And then you as the parent, you get the full force of it at 4 o'clock. Shoes are launched. Somebody gives them the wrong snack and it's World War III. The brother or sister breathes too loudly and apparently that's the final insult. Now, that doesn't mean that you've got poor boundaries, and it doesn't mean that your kid's actually choosing this behavior, because they're not, okay? It might mean that home is the place where suddenly they can come and unmask, their nervous system feels safe, they don't actually have to hold everything in. And I wish I'd understood masking a bit more deeply as well. I wish I'd known more that that version of the child I saw in my class was one part of the picture, not the whole picture. If a parent told me home was difficult, I would want curiosity to come before comparison. I would ask, what is this child spending all day coping with? And what is the cost when they get home? The second thing I wish I'd understood is that being able to do something once doesn't mean that they can access that skill every time. And adults say, oh, well, they did it very well yesterday. I don't know why I'm doing that voice, by the way. But as if yesterday is like legally binding. Neurodivergent capacity can change with sleep, sensory load, anxiety, hunger, transitions, illness, the demands already placed on them, and about 47 other things happening in their nervous system. A child might know how to write the sentence, but be unable to begin it today. They might understand the maths, but can't hold the steps in the work in memory. They know where their shoes are, but they still walk past them 6 times, okay? That inconsistency can look like a choice from the outside, okay? But it isn't. It can look like laziness, defiance, carelessness. Knowing what to do, wanting to do it, and being able to make your brain and body do it at that moment are not the same thing. And I wish I'd looked more carefully at that gap between knowledge and access. So instead of asking, why won't they just do this? I'd ask a better question. I would say, what is getting in the way of this right now? And that better question can completely change the support we offer. Now, the third thing is that behaviour is information, but it's not always easy information to read. Children rarely walk up to us and say, excuse me, miss, the sensory demands in this room have exceeded my current capacity. My working memory has left the building and I'm now entering survival mode. That'd be helpful, wouldn't it? Instead, they do different things. They tear the page, they refuse the task, they argue over something tiny. They might hide under the table, depends on their age, of course. Or they might say, I don't care. If we only respond to the behaviour, we can miss what's actually driving it. Now, I'm not saying every behaviour is acceptable either, and I'm not saying it doesn't mean like we put no boundaries in place, okay? It means a boundary on its own is not going to teach that missing skill, nor is it going to reduce the overwhelm, okay? We have to look beneath the behaviour. Is the child confused? Is the task too ambiguous or vague? Are they frightened of getting it wrong? Are they overloaded? Do they need movement? Are they protecting themselves from another expected experience of failure? We can hold a boundary and still be curious. We can say to them, I won't let you hurt me, whilst helping them regulate at the same time. No blame and no shame. The fourth thing I wish I'd understood sooner is how much language actually matters. When a child repeatedly hears that they're lazy, rude, dramatic, careless, not trying hard enough, those words don't float away magically. They become part of how those children understand themselves. And when a child already feels different, every correction is going to start to sound like proof that, yeah, that's right, I am the problem. And this is why I keep coming back to regulation, validation, education. So first you help the nervous system feel safer, then you validate their experience. You don't have to agree with everything or remove every expectation, but you can say, I can see this feels really hard, or you're expecting something different and that change has knocked you a bit, I get it. Then when the child is able to think again, we educate, we solve the problem, we practice the skill. Trying to teach a life lesson in the middle of a meltdown is like trying to update your laptop whilst it is on fire. The timing is not going to be ideal. Regulate, then validate, then educate. Now, the fifth thing is that parents often know things professionals can't see in a very short meeting, a lesson observation, or a tiny little assessment report. Okay? Parents see the sleep problems, the Saturday night anxiety, the 2 hours it takes to recover from school, the food their child can suddenly no longer tolerate, and the energy it takes to get through the morning. That does not mean a parent has every answer. None of us does. But they hold the evidence that matters, and I wish the relationship between school and home was always treated as a partnership, a collaboration, rather than parents feel like they have to just build a legal case in order to just be believed. They're fine in school should never be the end of the conversation. It should be the beginning of a better question. What's different here? What is different at home? And what can that teach us? And finally, I wish I had understood that support is not about fixing the neurodivergent children. They're not broken. The goal is not to make them look as neurotypical or normal, whatever normal is, as possible, or become wonderfully convenient for all of the adults around them. The goal is to help them understand their brain, build the skills that they need, communicate what's difficult, and grow up knowing that their brain is an asset, it is not a defect. And that is one of the reasons I left the classroom. I moved into my own business, and then I moved into this work. I didn't leave education because I stopped caring about it. I entered the neurodiversity space because I realized I could take what I'd learned as a teaching assistant, as a teacher, as a leader, combine it with what I was continuing to learn about neurodiversity, and support families, far more families and professionals than I could ever reach from one classroom. And I said this before, parents often joke and say, can you just like come and be an Alexa in my house? Now, I can't promise to appear like a fairy in your kitchen every time homework goes sideways, which is probably good news for all of us because I'd eat you out of house and home. But I can build somewhere where you can get clear, practical help without having to wade through a portal of hundreds of videos that don't apply to you. And that is why I am creating Inclusive Club. It is for parents and carers who want to understand what might be happening beneath behaviour, to support regulation, families who want to work with school and help their child build skills without shame. It will grow as well. The club will grow with the families inside it, because I don't want to guess either. I don't want to guess at what parents need and then disappear behind a pile of content. I want to help parents help me shape it. So if any of this has made you think, yeah, this is the kind of support I've been looking for, and if you haven't noticed already, I'm no BS, no fluff, click the link beneath the description of this video and enroll in Inclusive Club today. The first 50 founding members are going to pay a one-off enrolment fee of 17 quid, then £20 a month from launch, and that individual membership price stays at £20 for as long as their membership is active. We officially launch on the 28th of September in 2026, and this isn't about getting everything perfect overnight. It's a place to start. No blame, no shame. We regulate, we validate, we educate, and we keep learning together. So click the link below. It's inclusiveteachercode.com/inclusive-club. You can see it below this video. Please feel free to join us. And if you've gotten anything else of this, send it to a parent who really needs to hear it. Hopefully, I'll see you in the club.